our man Timothy Dalton sitting top of the pile at number 1. Never really saw the Dalton films much when I was younger, was not allowed to watch Licence to Kill. In fact, I think I didn't get to see it until I was at least 13, 14. ITV butchered it on TV. I mean, they do anyway, but Licence to Kill, it was utterly pointless. I mean, I've seen Licence to Kill scheduled as early as 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on one of the ITV channels. I'm willing to bet some of the brilliant intonations are gone, and of course the head scene. And again, like Lazenby, people say, well, how can you like Timothy Dalton as the best Bond on screen if he's only done 2 films? Well, he didn't do 2 films by choice. If those egalities and whatnot hadn't happened, we would have possibly been looking at a 5-film Bond. I would have been happy with 4 or 3. Again, as with Lazenby, it's a bit tricky. You only can pick from 2 films. And yet Dalton did enough in those 2 films to make me think he's the best Bond nowadays. He is the Bond of the Fleming books off the pages as best as he can. You know, we'll forget the humour because I don't think he was helped by the humour being injected into it. Clearly John Glenn thought he could get away with it, and the director, that is, not Dalton, getting away with it. Dalton had said about Bond once that he's essentially like a man in a western who rides into town, sorts out the town, rides on at the end of the day. He's also a man who's reliant on drugs. You know, in the books, Bond uses Benzodrine, which is what, methamphetamines or whatever. He smokes, he drinks, he womanizes. This is not a man who's entirely healthy or sound, it seems. And you see that more in Licence to Kill. Living Daylights is a very solid debut film, as debut films go. If you had a different director for both films, I think it would have been different. John Glenn's not a bad director, but there's not much room for rigidity, for freedom, necessarily. He smoked. You know, as I say, Moore had a thing for cigars, so Dalton probably uses a cigarette, and he has relatively good co-actors. You know, in the likes of Joanne Crabb, even Joe Don Baker's not too shabby. Mariam Diabo, Robert Daffy, and indeed I think Licence to Kill now, having watched it the other week, and I have always had a high opinion of Licence to Kill, is not only one of the best Bond films going. It's got one of the most realistic plots, realistic villains, but is probably the best depiction of James Bond on screen. The way it feels to me like, you know, you never know that if Fleming had carried on, you know, had not died in 64 and was carrying on with his book, say into the 70s or whatever, that he would have at some point had Bond go on a revenge mission. You know, I mean, the ideas would have been running thin, I would have thought, at some point. And it feels plausible in the sense that Bond's been at the wedding of his mate, and him and Della, I reckon, had some kind of history before they met, before she met Felix, and he kind of, you know, there's this guy Sanchez bobbing about. Next thing you know, Bond turns up to the house, finds Della on the bed, and clearly she's been interfered with, you know, and then he thinks Felix is initially dead, but Felix might as well be. He's been savaged by a bleeding shark. He's literally been fed to sharks. And Bond is like, well, come on, chaps, we got to go after the bastard. It's clearly Sanchez, and Bond's getting rebutted, and he crits the surface, and obviously M knows what Bond's going to do. He's not stupid, and Bond goes after him. And it builds and it builds. It's not necessarily like he doesn't go into it like an Ahab, gotta get the rail kind of thing, but there's a kind of single-mindedness to it, and Bond bashes his way through. You know, he gets the money from the Rave Crest. He avenges poor Sharky beforehand. He is really pissed with Lupe. It's Sanchez's way. You seem to like it, and she, of course, also, she's kind of the link in the film acting-wise, but it's, you know, we'll carry on. And there's Pam, and he drags Pam into it, and he's not entirely, he doesn't really know what she's about. I don't, you know, he's clearly he doesn't. And they go over to Ishmael City, and it's a man's world, so she has to sort of know her place, kind of thing. And he goes about, and then he comes back to the hotel, and after, you know, Q's turned up by now, and he's having a go at, you know, I saw you at Sanchez's office and all this stuff, and she says, well, you know, you've just ruined my fucking operation and all this stuff. And there's that expression on Bond as she sort of slides away from under him and sits on the edge of the bed next to him. He's sort of like, just this kind of, Dalton's expression. Bond is fucked up. You know, he's gone off the edge. He's gone off the edge in a few ways, and he's just messed up he's messed up Pam's part of the operation. You know, and he's just so single-minded about getting revenge for what's happened to Felix and Della. You know, by trying to worm his way into Sanchez's trust. But they carry on. You know, they make up their differences. Q stays around even though Bond tells him not to. And, you know, the brilliant thing about that, the drug making factory, is that Daria is probably, at least until that point, the only Bond villain who recognises Bond from before. You know, the other chaps in the films don't necessarily seem to have realised Bond's been there before, kind of thing. Like Osato and well, it's definitely Osato, and you only live twice. And Dario takes, and then and also Robert Davies was brilliant at Sanchez, and then he gets his revenge. And there's that moment where he sits on that rock and sort of is breathing deeply and going to himself, you know, thank fuck it's over. I like to think that if Fleming had watched that film, he might have appreciated it for at least how Dalton played Bond. And that's the great shame about there not being any more Dalton films. You know, I think the next one, I read somewhere it was meant to be getting ready in 1990. You know, you're saying that the first 4 films came out consecutive years from 62 to 65. You never know. But, you know, taking Bond into the post-Glasnost, post-Berlin Wall era, that would have been awfully interesting, I think. And I think Dalton would have kept up his game. And John Glenn wouldn't have done Bond films forever, so who's to say if something like Martin Campbell or somebody got stuck in. And so I think that's why that, and well, yeah, that is why really that I think Dalton excuse me, is the best Bond actor, or my favourite Bond actor I should say. And we'll have to see who the next Bond's going to be. I ideally would like it to be Michael Fassbender, but that's not going to happen, I don't think. And Henry Cavill, I'm not really mad with what the newspapers are putting forth, like that bloke who does Poldark purely because he's got his shirt off in Poldark. If that's the benchmark nowadays of a James Bond actor, then God help us. So, if you trawled through this slightly amateurish countdown, thanks awfully. And by the time I've uploaded this, it'll probably be Friday. I say that I'm going to do these as premieres. You never know, somebody might watch them live, but don't worry if you chaps don't. I have a very self-deprecating sense of humour. Too self-deprecating, I'm British. So thanks very much. And for now, that will probably be the end of my James Bond videos, because they were mainly done for the Bondathon. So this is Hilly Bray signing out.